Hi, this is Tom Zawistowski, and I'm doing this video today because I think it's time for me to have a frank and open conversation with the Tea Party members and Liberty Group leaders around the state. As you know, I've been pushing out information about a new constitutional amendment that I named Don't Ask, Do Tell, the People's Right to Instruct Their Representatives Amendment. And I really appreciate all the feedback I've gotten from people, and I really think it's making it better. But I think that I need to communicate to you why I think this is so important. Matter of fact, why I think this is the most important thing that you should be looking at this point in time. I had a great conversation with Ted Steveno earlier this week, who just talked me off the ledge as I was just trying to, find my way through the woods and understand, what to do next and where I need to go. I think poor Glenn Newman, his wife Karen, I drove him so crazy that they ended up having to retreat to Amish country where there were no phones, so he wouldn't have to talk to me anymore. And I hope that he had a good break and could rest and relax a little bit. And John McAvoy, has been there helping me all along, with what he does best, good constructive criticism, and really kind of helping to feed, new information into me, talk to people in his group, and kind of, let me know what needs to happen to make this work. So let me start with my original premise, why this should be the most important thing that's on your, mind right now. I guess from my viewpoint, we're at a critical point in time. And, I use a lot of historical and military analogies, and I'm going to use another one for you. Okay. You Korean War veterans out there who are watching this video, will know what I'm talking about. Most Americans have very little understanding of the Korean War. But it was a very important war, and during that war, some really important things happened. And the bottom line was, at one point in that war, we were basically, trapped at the tip of Korea. The UN forces and, mostly U.S. troops had been pushed back from the 30th parallel past the capital Seoul all the way to the tip of Korea, and were just basically hanging on. And at that time, General MacArthur came up with a plan for a very daring amphibious invasion that would sweep around the peninsula, and attack the North Koreans behind their lines at a spot where they didn't expect us to attack, and basically turn the tide of the war. And that was a daring move, and some people say it was one of the most brilliant military moves in the history of American battle. And it did end up retaking Seoul as the capital and changing the war, which eventually led to us settling on a truce at the 38th parallel. Well, I think we're in the same situation. I think that we've been fighting the fight with the ruling class for 6 years, trying to play their game, trying to elect good people, trying to get in the system, trying to participate in what we thought was a system. But it's not. It's a rigged game, and that's what I've said all along. And so the problem with that rigged game is that you can't win it unless you can change it. Now, that's not to say, and I talked to Ted about this, that's not to say that we don't have to do the things we've been doing. We do have to take over the county central committees. We do have to take over the state central committee. We do have to get people to run for office. We do need to have people support them, and we need to get better at creating campaign teams so that we can win more. But here's the problem. If we don't change the system at the same time, we're sowing the seeds of our own defeat. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that we've started to elect people. We've started to send them to office. And what they've found is frustration and defeat because the system overwhelms them, because everything is stacked against them. They have no way to defend themselves. It's not a fair game. They're always, getting cheated. All right? And so the problem for you and I is that as we recruit these people, these patriots, these citizen representatives to go and try to participate in this process, if we send them there and don't change the system and they get crushed and they come home defeated, in 2 or 3 election cycles, we won't be able to get anybody to run. And we won't have one. And that's what my fear is. And so I feel that it is critical. It's not an option. We must change the system. And so, yes, the don't ask, do tell people's rights instructed representatives amendment, that's serious stuff. I know it shocked a lot of you. It changes the game dramatically, okay? And I do consider it like an inch-on invasion. Because, folks, here's the problem we have. The problem we have is we're in a rapidly disintegrating environment. Barack Obama is not going to stop. And the Republican Party has proven they're not going to stop him. So the only people who can stop him is us. All right? And when I did my survey about the Patriots' commitment, what would you be willing to do? A lot of you are talking about civil disobedience and worse. You're talking about, basically a revolution. We can't let that happen. We lose. They want us to go to gunplay. They're trying to push us to do that. Our job is to not let that happen. Why? Because if we do that, we lose even when we win. Because our country will be destroyed. Our economy will be destroyed. And that's what they want. So we have to find a way to surprise them. We have to find a way to come at them what they wouldn't expect. Okay? And that's what this people's right of instruction is. Because, I know that you looked at it and you've reviewed it, and I've gotten a lot of technical questions. And I was talking to my friend Rich Youngblood, about this. And, the funny thing about it is that our strength is that we're conservatives, but that's also our weakness. I mean, let me draw a comparison with you. If I was trying to put the medical marijuana or the free legalized marijuana amendment on the ballot, right? And I was at a liberal event saying, hey man, wouldn't you love to buy marijuana without being against the law? Oh yeah, where do I sign? They're not going to ask who's going to sell it, who's going to check it to make sure it's pure, what kind of taxes will be paid, who's going to make the money, where the money's going to go, what are the health concerns. They don't ask those questions. And that's why they're liberals, because they're all about emotions and self-gratification. I want my weed, I don't care how I get it. That's not you. That's not me. That's not us. That's not America, quite frankly. But the other problem is that when we want to do something, Mike Sneed wants me to do a flow chart of the instruction process. Now, it's important that we understand the instruction process, and it's important that we understand, the potential ramifications and what's good and bad about it. But the bottom line is, you have to see the good through all that. I will answer those questions. I have answers to those questions. And if you read the Q&A sheet, and if you would have been on the conference call we held, I would have answered those questions. But the fact of the matter is, there's nothing I have found anywhere in this country that will change the balance of power more than us restoring our right to instruct our representatives. And that right didn't come from me. I didn't just pull this out of thin air. It was before the colonies. It was in England. And in the colonies, the right to instruct was literal. It wasn't suggestive. They considered their representatives to be their diplomats, someone that they instructed what to do and they did it. And that carried into the Ohio State Constitution. And it was literal. And I'm going to send you with this, video, an article that talks about the right of instruction, the whole history of it, and why the ruling class killed it, okay? That talks mostly about instructing federal officials. But the point is that our founding fathers believed that the people needed to have that right because it was supposed to be government of the people, by the people, for the people. And that's what we need to restore. And that isn't direct democracy. But it will fix our biggest problem. And you all saw the latest polls that came out. Congress's approval rating is like 8%. So how come like 96% of them get reelected? Right? The White House, the executive branch approval rating is horrible. Because they aren't serving us. And guess what? They're not going to, because we have no way to make them, particularly when the legislative branch gives up their power to check the executive and the judicial branch. And that's where we're at. And so we need to take decisive action, like MacArthur did in Inchon. We need to flank them and surprise them and come at something that makes them react to us instead of us always reacting to them. Now, I didn't say this was easy, and it isn't easy. I know how hard I've been working on it, and I know what I'm asking you to do. Getting 450,000 signatures? Yeah, I get it. Not easy. But when I did the survey about the Patriots commitment, what were you willing to do? More than half of you people said you'd be willing to take a gun and fight for your liberty. But you won't pick up a pen and a clipboard and go get some signatures? Come on. What's with that? What's the right thing to do? The right thing to do is to pick up your pen and clipboard to fight for liberty before you have to pick up your gun. And that's what we have to do. But I'm not just, sending you out there on your own. I'm working like heck to try to get some groups that I think would support this effort to help fund it so we can buy signatures or pay some of you to collect signatures. I understand that this is a challenge, a huge challenge. I understand we're going to be attacked. But those of you who know me, those of you who've come to know me in the 6 years we've been doing this, you know that there's always more to it. That I don't do win-lose type situations. I do win-win situations. So let me talk about if we fail in this attempt. Okay? What happens if we fail? Just by putting this amendment out there, we create a conversation where we can control the narrative on the fact that we're not represented. That's really important because you know why? The vast majority of Americans, you remember I said Congress's approval rating is like 8%? That means 92% of people aren't happy. And they're not Tea Party people, they're everybody. And they're not happy because their government doesn't care about them. Their vote doesn't count. No one represents them. So how important is it for you and I to come to them with an answer? Not some BS, mamby-pamby, this might work answer, but an answer that says, how would you like the legal right to instruct your representatives so they have to listen to you? What's that worth? Well, I think it's worth a lot. Now, if you watch my Army of One video, where I'm looking to reconfigure the Portage County Tea Party around precincts, okay, what's the main thing there? The main thing in the Army of One is that you, each one of you watching this video, have to have a relationship with the 500 people in your precinct where they understand that you're on their side. What would do more to get them on your side than to knock on their door with a petition that says, we want to give you the right, restore your right, your legal right that's in the Constitution to instruct your representatives, and have them sign and then give you their phone number or their email address or both so we can talk to them down the road. How important is that? Just if we go through the process and we don't even get 450,000 signatures, we will get to know who's in our precinct, who we can count on. That's critical. They will also get to know that somebody's on their side. Somebody's listening to them. People that would never talk to the Tea Party will talk to us on this issue. Right? What's the next thing? Once we have those lists, once we've identified those people, even if this doesn't get on the ballot, we can now message in our area to help do what? Elect people in the school boards and trustees in November? And then how about in the precincts? Now you've identified the people in the precincts who care, who want representation. And if you're going to run for this county central committee, you already know who can vote for you. And you have the way to message to them. What is that worth? It's worth a ton. Number 3, if you watch my Army of One video, I talked about the problem with presidential elections, where the vote goes from an average of 40% in non-presidential years to 70 or 80% in presidential years. And how we face this blizzard, this snowstorm of TV, radio, mailings, newspaper ads, robocalls, flyers, all this nonsense that blocks out our message. And in the Army of One, I talked about how by reaching these people earlier and gaining their trust, they will ignore all that and listen to our good guidance. They will consider what you say more than what they say. How important would that be in 2016 and beyond? So do you see, even if we don't succeed, we're going to win huge. We need this tool. And it'll scare the heck out of the establishment, and they'll know that we're serious about what we're doing. And the more people we get to come to us, the more strength we have to get them to move forward. Okay? So now let's say what happens if we do get the amendment on the ballot. We get 450,000 signatures. We do take it, to the ballot in November. And we pass it. What does that do for us? All kinds of positive things. At the school board level, township trustee, city council, all that stuff. Because now it's an anti-double cross rule. That's what this amendment really is. Because the districts are so gerrymandered as it is, right? That if they vote the way they say, we're not going to instruct them. The difference is when they say, I'm going to vote for workplace freedom, and they don't. Or they say, I'm going to vote for the heartbeat bill, and they don't. Now you'll have the ability to instruct them. But what does that do? What's really behind that? Right? If that's too simplistic, here's what I really want you to understand. I talked to Nino Vital up in Cleveland at the Bringing America Back to Life convention about this. And I said, Nino, and Nino said to me, I'm worried, Tom, and you're all worried. You all tell me, well, what if the left instructs me? What if, the unions spend a bunch of money and they don't want Nino Vital to vote, for the heartbeat bill? And so they start spending money in his district to get people to instruct him. And I said, yeah, they could do that, They could do that. But here's what you're going to do. When that happens, you're going to go back to your district and you're going to talk to the people who voted for you. And you're going to say, you voted for me. I ran on this. This is what you want. And this outside party is trying to steal that by instructing me to go against your wishes. And I need you to stand with me. And they will. And that will bring our representatives back to the people. Because you know what happens now? Nothing. They never come back to talk to you. They never come back to talk to you because you don't matter. You can't help them. Let me give you another example. While we're going to get criticism for all the rhinos and all the party hacks, the people who are on our side, the good people we've elected, the people who are pressured by the party and their jobs are threatened, they're going to wake up and understand, you know what? This is pretty cool. Because when the party's saying you got to vote this way because they made some deal with special interest, right? That representative can now go back to their district and say, I need instruction. What do you want me to do? Here's the case. Here's what this is about. What do you think we should do? And when his people instruct him, he can go to the party and say, it's the law. That's my vote. The people decided. I can't change it. And the party loses leverage. It gives them cover. And it makes the party interested in having them go back and talk to their people to try to get them to do what they want to do. See how this brings us back into this? See, that makes you and I and the people important in the process after the election? That's what we're trying to do here. That's what we're trying to do here. This is good for America. This enlightens people. Right? So let me give you another example. Yeah, I got it. They're going to attack this every step of the way. And so the odds are they're not going to let us throw our congressmen and U.S. senators, U.S. congressmen and senators out of office. I get that. First of all, I'm going to make them do it. I'm not just going to concede that. Okay? But here's the best part. So now in the amendment it says anything that the courts throw out and says, I can't throw out your congressman. He's a federal official. Just unelect him. The rest of the law stays in place. Well, what's the rest of the law? The rest of the law is the instruction system. The instruction system. What does the instruction system do? Well, instead of me sending out emails, or us getting emails from, Freedom Works, Tea Party Patriots, all these people saying, oh, call your congressman, send him an email, tell him to vote no on H.R. 5 or this or that, and they totally ignore you. And those emails go nowhere. They don't even read them. Your calls you might as well go to voicemail, right? I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to send you out an email saying, we need to instruct Congressman Dave Joyce on this. Go use the instruction system. Now, why is that different? First of all, it creates a permanent public record on that issue. And I guarantee you, every congressional staff member will be watching every instruction like a hawk. Because what do we want to do? When they come up for re-election, we want to show that, yeah, we instructed this rhino 20 times in 2 years, and they voted with us twice, and now they want to be reelected? Yeah, you can run all the bullcrap ads you want telling us who you aren't, but you want us to believe you are, and all we have to say is, look at the instruction, and we're going to unelect them. Because the document I'm sending with this video talks about the fact that when before the 17th Amendment, when the the House, the state House members used to be able to instruct the senators, right? One of the tactics that made that not work was that the House turned over 2 years. So when they got mad, when they instructed a U.S. senator to do something and the senator ignored them, the senator would just wait it out because 3 terms of congressmen would come up before the senator did, and then they didn't want to throw him out because they weren't the ones who voted to throw him out, to instruct him in the first place. See how they wiggle out of it? This bill keeps them from wiggling out of it. This bill makes our representative form of government better, stronger. And it answers the needs of the people. The American people are screaming out, crying for representation. That's how important this bill is. So now when we go and we're going to, be electing people to office, and the people that you're going to elect to school board this fall, or to some county commissioner's race in 2016, or even Ohio House, as they move up, they're going to survive and thrive because they're not going to be intimidated. And they're not going to be able to be thrown out of office as easily. And more people will come to us. Because you know what? All we have to do is instruct one. And it'll change the whole game. We need to change the game. If we don't change the game, we're not going to win. And we need to change the game now. So I want you to think about this. I'm going to attach the latest version of the amendment. I'm going to attach this article I want you to read. For all you wonky guys who want to get deep into the history of it, you'll love this article, and I'm sure you'll be coming back to me. And I'd like you to read that article, which pretty much says, the right of instruction didn't work, and see their reasons, and see how those reasons don't apply today, and what our arguments against them are. Because, folks, the facts are overwhelmingly clear. We aren't being represented by anyone. And it's long past time that we were. And if you want to make a difference, this is how it starts. And yes, I intend to start this in Ohio and take it to every state in the union. So I hope this helps you understand where I'm at, what's in my head, why I think this is so important, why you need to understand it, and why you need to make the commitment to do this. Because it's the price of freedom right now. That's what it costs. If you don't want gunplay, if you don't want revolution, if you want to make a difference, if you want to stop the insanity, I don't think we've got a better option. If I had one, I'd bring it to you. If you have one, bring it to me. But I don't think one exists. And this is right in our grasp. Yes, it's a high hill to climb. But no matter what, it's a win-win for us. I really appreciate you listening to this. I hope it helped. I expect you to write to me. I expect you to call me. We need to work together on this. That's how it works in a Tea Party, right? It's a marketplace of ideas. This is my idea. I've shared it with you. I want to hear yours. Thanks for listening to this video. I greatly appreciate it. We hope to hear from you soon.